Hello and welcome to Elite Rounders YouTube channel. Today I will talk about a little bit how I lose money in poker, what I should stop doing, which is sometimes a struggle. Again, these are also a little bit like character traits I have and type of person I am at the poker table, I guess, which could be called as weakness and strength in some sense. Um, but I think it's very important to acknowledge those, what you struggle with, and this is definitely part one. I have a lot of tendencies I would like to fix, but it's these things especially come up sometimes when I'm playing like a bit in bad state, in a sense of like energy or mood or whatever, and I think this happens if you play a lot. It's very common because again, if you're playing like I don't know, a lot of days a week, like 5-6 days or whatever is a lot of game days for you, I think these are like multiplied, I would say. The more you play, the more these are multiplied in your game, and that's why it's tough to play poker like 5-6-7 days a week, because these will just multiply and probably kill your win rate a lot. But that's why I want to point out with this video, because like usually I'm like how you punt money, I want to show how I punt money. So first of all, probably sometimes my aggression goes a little bit over the top, unnecessary level. It's good to keep the aggression on a level which is like reasonable, in a sense like that you don't go totally overboard. So I tend to go a little bit overboard with this sometimes, and again, that's something I acknowledge and also think of it as my strength and weakness sometimes. So when you're in like this in this state that you're not exactly perfect mental state, let's say you have some problems there, or you lack energy. I think especially when I lack energy, I tend to be a bit too aggressive and hope the tournament ends in 30 minutes instead of 10 hours. So I think when you're trying to end the tournament in 30 minutes and it will last 10 more hours, it's not going to be pretty, so I think couple things like that will definitely cost me in the long run. And then like second one, I would say trying to be too cutesy, fancy play syndrome. Sometimes kind of leveling yourself versus some villains, trying to find some bluffs in spot where the villain is never giving you credit for bluffs because they don't think that you can have this and that. Like just basically leveling yourself with the villain. In a sense like this looks strong, he should fold that, and then you realize, okay, this guy would never fold bottom pair, so this might be bad play. So again, sometimes like just leveling yourself, like thinking other people are thinking or something like that, I don't know. But yeah, definitely I'm making these kind of interesting plays. I think sometimes you look like a fool making plays, but that's okay to me, I don't mind that. Nobody's perfect, and sometimes you look like a fool, that's fine to me. I like to play more creative, so it comes always with these blunders, you could say. So that's the price for being creative, I think, in general. You need to accept the fact that you are making blunders, right? Like it just happens. Like if you're playing solid poker, it's actually, you never have to punt per se, because you're just playing solid hands. It's actually easy to play poker when you play like 10 or 15% of hands, right? Like you always have something. It's like, it's kind of easy. It's too easy almost. Then third one, sometimes I get too cocky and I have just too many tables. Again, I think a lot of people would have problem with this, so be mindful about that. If you're sitting out on way too many important decisions, it's obviously too many tables for you. So I think this can sometimes happen. I'm like in good roll or something, I'm like excited to play, I just load way too many tables, and it just becomes too much. So definitely can be leak here. Trying out new things, this is definitely something, again, it could be a little bit like trying to be too cutesy. Cutesy, I guess cute. You're trying to be too cute, but I say it's cutesy. So trying out new things is something which will cost me in the short term, but hopefully will pay me dividends in terms of long term. So again, I like to try new things. I like to explore what could I do differently. Is there some more profitable way? Is there some more interesting way? Is this more interesting? yada yada. So I think that will definitely cost me in short term. How I probably punt money sometimes, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's not the best idea, and then you realize maybe it's not the best idea. But again, only way to find new things is to try things. So if you never try anything, you're probably not trying enough or trying enough new things, right? So I think it's still important to try out new things. It's really to keep our coaching fresh, right? Like otherwise you would never have anything new to say, right? Sometimes I'm definitely too happy to gamble in a sense, like again, like if you think about like if you're playing against someone who's clearly worse than you, I'm too happy still to gamble with them in a sense, like take a coin flip or something like that, because like if you have big edge on heads up, for example, you should probably not take like super marginal spots. But I was kind of always like kind of gambler, so I guess it makes sense that I like to gamble. Is a character trait which is tough to like change in a sense, but again, it's I think it's like strength and weakness sometimes. So I think it's good and bad. As long as you don't go overboard, like chasing with that 7 deuce off any throw is probably not a good idea, you know, or whatever. But these were like first 5 things which came to my mind, but there's definitely way more. But I thought it would be funny to realize myself like what are the things I punt money on, and these are just first part. To be honest, like I think if you're saying that you're not punting money on anything, you're not creating anything, or also you're not aware of your leagues. I think it's good to check your own game and be like self-critical in a sense. Like if you don't find any flaws or any way you're punting money, I mean, it's pretty unlikely you're playing perfectly, or you're not trying to like increase your win rate enough or whatever. So I think it's very important to notice that what are your flaws. Or okay, so I think that's kind of like important in this game to understand your flaws, but also understand your strengths, obviously. So some of these are a little bit the both. Playing a lot of tables is a good thing. Playing too many is not a good thing. It's good to have some gamble in you because poker is still gambling, and in a sense of like the well, I'm professional poker player, so saying poker is gambling is kind of weird. But it is still a game where you need to gamble and you need to take some flips, so it is still gambling in a sense. So trying to be cutesy, fancy play syndrome, I think it's good to be creative. So again, I see the good side of it, and then too aggressive, I see the good side of that. So I'm trying out new things, obviously. So again, like a lot of these negatives are also positives. So it's not always like so clear that your weakness is like super bad. I think it can also be good. So but that was at least with the part 1. I'm sure there are things which are even worse than this, but maybe that's for the second part.